Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, chapter entitled Lord Krishna Shows the Universal Form, text number 24. Okay, please repeat. Yarhi Anghana Darshaniya Kumara Leelav Antah Vraje Tat Abalaha Pragrahita Puchaihi Vatsaihi Itah Tataha Ubhau Anukrishyamano Prekshantyah Ujhita Ruhaha Jarshuhu Hasantyah Yarhyangana Darshaniya Kumara Leela Yarhangana Darshaniya Kumara Leela Antarvaje Tat Abalah Pragrahita Puchaihi Antarvaje Tat Abalah Pragrahita Puchaihi Vachairitas Ubhav Anukrisyamano Vachairitas Ubhav Anukrisyamano Prekshanti Ujjita Graha Jahurush Asantyah Prekshyanti Ujjita Graha Jarushur Asyantah Yarhangana Darshaniya Kumara Leela Antarvaje Tat Abalah Pragrahita Puchaihi Vachairitas Ubhav Anukrisyamano Prekshantya Ujjita Graha Jarushur Asyantahi Asantyaha. Please chant. Mataji's. Here he, when Angana Darshaniya, visible only to the ladies within the house, Kumara Leela, the pastimes Sri Krishna and Balarama exhibited as children, Antah Raje, within the inside of Raja in the house of Nanda Maharaja, Tat, at the time, Abalaha, all the ladies, Pragrahita Puchaihi, the ends of their tails having been caught by Krishna and Balarama, Vatsaihi, but the calves, Itah Tataha, here and there, Ubhau, both Krishna and Balaram, Anukrisyamanau, being dragged, Prekshyantaha, seeing such things, Ujjita, given up, Ruha, their household affairs, Jaurushu, enjoyed very much, Asantyaha, while laughing. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Founder Acharya, ISKCON and BPD. Translation: within the house of Nanda Maharaja, the cowherd ladies would enjoy seeing the pastimes of the babies Rama and Krishna. The babies would catch the ends of the calves' tails and the calves would drag them here and there. When the ladies saw these pastimes, they certainly stopped their household activities and laughed and enjoyed the incidents. Purport: while crawling in curiosity, Krishna and Balarama would sometimes catch the ends of the tails of the calves. The calves, feeling that someone had caught them, would begin to flee here and there, and the babies would hold on very tightly, being afraid of how the calves were moving. The calves, seeing that the babies were holding them tightly, would also become afraid. Then the ladies would come to rescue the babies and gladly laugh. This was the enjoyment. So we will also see text 25. Shringagnidam striyasi jala advicha kantakebhyaha krida parau atichalau swasutau Nishedum Uhyani Kartum Apiyatra Natach Jananyo Shekata Aptaur Alam Manaso Navastam. Translation: when Mother Yashoda and Rohini were unable to protect the babies from calamities threatened by horned cows, by fire, by animals with claws and teeth such as monkeys, dogs, and cats, and by thorns, swords, and other weapons on the ground, they were always in anxiety and their household engagements were disturbed. At the time, they were fully equipoised in the transcendental ecstasy known as the distress of material affection, for this was aroused within their minds. Purport: all these pastimes of Krishna and the great enjoyment exhibited by the mothers are transcendental, nothing about them is material. They are described in the Brahma Samhita as Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. In the spiritual world, there is anxiety, there is crying, and there are other feelings similar to those of the material world. But because the reality of these feelings is in the transcendental world, of which this world is only an imitation, Mother Yashoda and Rohini enjoyed them transcendentally. मम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवं गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यप्रभुनित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। यर्हङ्गणादर्शनीयकुमारलीलौ अन्तर्व्रजेतदबलाः प्रगृहीतपुच्छैः वच्चैरितस्ततौ भावानुकृष्यमाणौ प्रेक्ष्यन्ति उज्झितगृहाच्छुश्रुषुरसन्त्यः। Translation: within the house of Nanda Maharaja, the covered ladies would enjoy seeing the pastimes of the babies Rama and Krishna. The babies would catch the ends of the calves' tails, and the calves would drag them here and there. When the ladies saw these pastimes, they certainly stopped their household activities and laughed and enjoyed the incidents. So we can see Krishna and Balram were very young, very small, just growing, and their old wonderful childhood pastimes we are relishing this 10th canto of Bhagavatam. So now when they catch the tails of the calves, so these calves would drag them here and there, and then in due course of time what happens, their bodies are smeared with dirt, cow dung, etc., etc., you know. So this is the natural, how you call, cosmetics. So the modern cosmetics is fair and lovely ponds. You know, you can see childrens, they are decorated with these cosmetics. But actually these are all the real, how you call, these cow dung actually is so purifying. It's so healthy even externally, physically, in many ways, you know. People use that, you know, every time when we cook boga for the Lord, and once the cooking is done, so how we clean the kitchen? We apply cow dung water, you know, on the floor, so that purifies, sanctifies, uh, uh, antibacterial, antiviral. So when there was COVID, people were using sanitizer, no. So, but this is called sanitizer, you know. In Tamil, sani means cow dung. So sanitizer. So this is the real sanitizer. You know. You mispronounce it, then it indicates a proper object. what is that in Lokanath Maharaj, that Sanskrit pronunciation book. He was telling how one small mispronunciation could change the entire meaning, sometimes rather opposite meanings. In English, he gave example. I think several examples was given. One example is you go and sit there, SIT, and if you say SIT as shit, you go and shit there. So therefore, Maharaj was trying to tell us when we sing our songs, when we offer our prayers, it was very important that at least our daily prayers we should pronounce properly, because the meanings will not be communicated otherwise. So if we are serious, then we should learn the pronunciation properly. And when we chant, when we even our daily prayers, at least the daily prayers, we should carefully study them. Otherwise, if such opposite meanings are conveyed, what prayers we are offering. So we may not be pandits, but few shlokas we can learn properly. So, this I was telling about this COVID time. So when they got infected, one alternative treatment was also steam inhalation, or they were some were suggesting you burn the cow dung, put little ghee, and then the fumes, the smoke, you inhale. So that is also cure. Some people were suggesting. So and how do you get? It was locked down and people were all in the cities. And of course, it was beginning. There was one story I heard. So they ordered how in the cities how they get cow dung. So Amazon delivers it. You know, so they ordered uh, cow dung patties in Amazon. So when they got it, and this family was using sanitizer to purify cow dung, because they should be free of. So this is the hypocrisy of this age. So people, when childrens when they play in the earth, they're exposed to this dirt. They grow with this all these bacteria, viruses. They get exposed from small age, and it sort of gives them how you call immunity. You know, so people, those who are so-called always living in posh house, rich house, they don't get exposed to all these good bacteria, good viruses. Uh, so when they don't get exposed to these things, then the immunity is not so high. They may, of course, not that we should be dirt, we should be clean, but then we should work on the fields. We should at least play. Children's they used to play on the ground, play on the fields. So these things are good for uh, even the health aspect. So one time I was just curious. One mosquito bite, we get infected. Little bad smell. Sometimes our health gets distracted. I was asking one devotee, these people are living in slums, you know, right next to their home or in front of their house, all this garbage is there and sewage is flowing, bad smell is coming, full of mosquitoes. So should maybe they have good immunity, or what is the secret? How these people are living so healthy. So he said, yeah, I think virus will attack them, but I think virus gets killed. So I don't know what is the truth, but so anyway, it's good that if children are exposed, if they play, it's good for health. So that's what Krishna Balram, they're setting example how children should play with cows, calves. So our artificial intelligence, when was questioned how cow dung is purifying, uh, it says in some culture, yes, it is used, but then we should be careful about the hygiene and other things. So we can understand in relation to the Jersey cows. Definitely, we are not sure how much pure the cow dung is. Even in our Goshala, when we go, we can see the Even the smell, the fragrance is not so heavy, it's so pleasant. Whereas you go to a Goshala of Jersey cows, it's not so pleasant. So, in all regards, physical health, spiritual health, anything to do with the so-called cows, we're not sure. But then, definitely with the country breed cows, how they call A2 and A1, all those things. So you can understand they are all very healthy. Even the very smell is healthy. The urine, the cow dung, everything in relation to cows is very healthy. Uh, uh, Physically, mentally, spiritually, intellectually, in all levels. So of course, a lot was discussed in few classes about all these A2 and A1 things like that. So if we will discuss some other points. So in the next purport, it was discussed how anything, all these emotions, Yashoda was exhibiting anxiety in not being able to protect Krishna, or not exactly not being, but then couldn't do the household activities because all the time there was care and attention required for Krishna and Balram. So there were a lot of anxieties, and it's explained how these anxieties are all transcendental. Uh, so janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvadah tektva deham punar janma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, Krishna says, as my birth and activities are transcendental. Anyone who understands that these are all transcendental, even they get liberated. Just by understanding that his birth and activities are transcendental, one gets liberated. And यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य. So Krishna descends, Sambhavami yuge yuge. And what is the previous verse? Ajopi sannavyatma Sambhavami atma maya. So he says, I descend in with in my own nature, internal potency. Krishna very clearly says, my birth and activities. Yes, I come, I take many births, but Arjuna, it's so much different from your birth and my birth. So, Atma Maya, there's Yoga Maya, there's Maha Maya. So, Krishna says, my appearance and activities are all transcendental. So, anything related to Krishna is also transcendental. Krishna's Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, Krishna Nama, Krishna Kama, Krishna Dhamma, everything, anything connected with Krishna is all transcendental. Now, Vrindavan, some devotees came from Vrindavan. So anything you touch is cold now. Anything you touch, anything you drink, anything you eat, anything you breathe, everything is chill, everything is cold. Similarly, anything come in touch with Krishna becomes transcendental. And Krishna's name means, what is his name? Yashodanandana. It has to be in connection with his devotee. So that means what? His devotees are also transcendental. Krishna's Rupa, Yashoda decorates Krishna's form. Peacock, Krishna's devotee had offered and decorated Krishna's form. Krishna's Guna, character. What is his character? Protecting his devotees. Vatsalya, Bhakta, Vatsalya. All these things is in connection with devotees. Leelas is in connection with devotees. That means devotees are also transcendent. Krishna's devotees, Krishna's anything comes in touch with Krishna is all transcendental. That means whatever emotions are exhibited in Vrindavan pastimes, fear, anxiety, distress, cry, lamentation, all these characters usually in relation to material world is binding, but when it is in connection with Krishna, it liberates. So to the degree it is connected with Krishna, to that degree it is transcendental. Not that immediately I chant Krishna, I become transcendental, but if I chant purely 100%, then I become 100% transcendental. So here devotees are exhibiting these emotions of anxiety, distress. So how these are all transcendental? That is the idea, and Prabhupada said, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. So this is what Brahma Samhita says. All these are all from different platform. Looking same, but it's quite opposite. So we can see a devotee is taking anxiety for Krishna. Usually the terms like cry, fear, anxiety, tension, targets, money, scores, meeting, strategy, project, all these words, usually it is not, people think how these words can be used in a spiritual atmosphere, spiritual terminology, spiritual discussions. Spirituality means above all these dualities. Mm. So it is true. Uh, Devotees means are transcendental. Spiritual means transcendental to all these dualities, but it's material duality. So all these emotions are exhibited in spiritual world. Not just exhibited; it is exhibited 100% degree, in 100% degree. What is exhibited here is very shadow. It's not real. So unless there is a real object, there cannot be shadow, right? So these emotions are all actually exhibited in purest form in spiritual world. Uh, and imagine the intensity, how it will be in spiritual world. In material world, if there is some love failures, people commit suicide. Uh, Nowadays, it's a trend to kill the lover. All the time we see in the news, they either burn them, kill them, all sorts of crazy things. People commit suicide. Both boy girl they commit suicide. You know. So so-called material love, which is just a shadow love, you can see the intensity of emotion, and imagine how much strong the spiritual emotions will be. So that's why when some higher ecstasies uh, are exhibited, that is the end of their, pastime. You know, body cannot withstand. So it's enough. This body has also limitations. So imagine how pure and how strong and how intense the uh, spiritual emotions will be, and that is what is exhibited by Mother Yashoda, gopis, and all these great devotees. Uh, so, and then Mayavadis, Shunyavad. Uh, uh, Everything is zero. Mayavad, Shunyavad, all these philosophies. They don't want all these dualities. As soon as when you speak Krishna Lila, any form, Maya. Any duality is Maya. Therefore, we call them Mayavad. Krishna's form also, they say, is form of Maya. They cannot relate. Why? Because whole life they are seeing. Wherever there is dualities, there is suffering. When there is form, when there is relationship, when there is actions, when there is emotions, all these things lead to suffering. And they think when they want to escape from all these sufferings, and then they think merging in the Brahman is the real happiness. And then when they hear that Krishna was, gopis were crying, Yashoda was crying, so then they say all these things are Maya, because according to them, having a husband, having a wife means anxiety. And again in spiritual world, you have all these husband, wife, and children, boss, tax. Uh, so all these terms they say it's all Maya. How it can be? How these things can give happiness? So they have no clue. So we are fortunate because great acharyas have given us, revealed us these teachings. So therefore we can understand how these are all transcendental. So Mayavadis are unfortunate. So these emotions, cry, anxiety, depression, all these so-called negative emotions give rise to transcendental bliss in spiritual world. And in this material world, the so-called happiness gives rise to the more suffering. So this is the nature of material world and spiritual world. In material world, the so-called happiness gives rise to more suffering. In spiritual world, the so-called suffering gives rise to more happiness. This is a contradictory nature, and it has to be so because material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Anything perceived here is opposite there. So we can understand how this so-called anxiety, emotions, and bad feelings give rise to transcendental happiness. Now, we may not be able to relate it perfectly in this material world because material world is material world. It's all quite opposite. Uh, so, to some extent, yes, we may say mother is there as a child, and some danger is there for the child, and mother interrupts, and if she takes the danger, if somebody is throwing something on the child and mother protects the child, and if she gets beaten, so maybe physically it will be painful for the mother, but then internally she'll be happy that that I have protected my child is saved. So although externally it might have incurred a pain, but then internally she's happy that she has protected the child and child is safe and healthy. So we can understand through such examples how devotees, they love Krishna, and because of that love, they take all this anxiety to serve Krishna, and this anxieties give rise to the transcendental pleasure. Uh, so and these anxieties increase the Krishna consciousness. These anxiety increase the Atma Santosham, the soul's happiness. So, but this doesn't negate the fact that, like I was just recently, I think he's a Mayavad. So I was like, he was glorifying Prabhupada, but then the way he glorified, it appeared that all the struggles Srila Prabhupada had undertaken to preach Krishna consciousness. So he just said that, you see, these people are all empowered personalities, they can do these things. So I was telling Srila Prabhupada, no, you see, he struggled so much. No, 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 what is struggle for them? They are all empowered souls. So that's true, but can we say that Srila Prabhupada didn't struggle? Srila Prabhupada is not bodily platform, but doesn't mean that he didn't struggle. But where is question of struggle if you love Krishna? So how do you reconcile? So definitely the pains and the struggles which Srila Prabhupada had undertaken, it is absolutely true, no doubt. And definitely Srila Prabhupada felt pain, there is no doubt. But these were the source of transcendental pleasure. So it was not a material anxiety or material suffering which Srila Prabhupada underwent. Physically, yes, definitely there were struggles, no doubt. Prabhupada complained, so much. I have this problem, that pain, this pain, that pain, so much pain I'm tolerating just to preach Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada didn't complain much. Rarely he hinted, but we can understand how much Srila Prabhupada struggled and suffered. So you can't negate the fact that Srila Prabhupada undertook so much suffering, saying that it's all transcendental, they are not in bodily conscious, and they were empowered jivas. So the way that Mayavadi was presenting, it appeared as if he was negating these facts. But then when I explained, he accepted it. So here also we can see it's devotees take up so much struggles. And that's what Yashoda. A lot of struggles were there, but then that they were the source of transcendental pleasure. So we can't imitate and we should not imitate these things. But Srila Prabhupada gave us this process of bhakti yoga, devotional service, in which a lot of difficulties devotees undertake for the sake of preaching. So we can see the history of so many devotees, so much struggles. Even now, book distribution marathon is going on. So many devotees undertake so much struggle. It's not easy life. Whole day, especially throughout the year, devotees take risks, struggle for Krishna service. But then, especially in the month of marathon, more struggle, less eating, less sleeping, more service. Especially in Western countries, is very cold. Uh, uh, Dogs are there. Sometimes accidents happen. So police comes, arrest, what not. So many things. So devotees take up all these struggles just to preach Krishna consciousness and to get purified. So we can see devotees here in construction service, so much physical labor, exposed to dust, sun, but they take all these risks so that they can get purified, they can do some service. Srila Prabhupada, how much struggles he took. And remember, we all went to Chennai Gaudiya at once. You know? So in Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav, uh, there is a story about the construction of the Gaudiya Math there. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur came to do the how you call it, corner stone laying ceremony, the Bhumi Puja of the Chennai Gaudiya Math, and devotees were in anxiety to reveal a fact to Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. And the fact is that they have taken loans for building this mutt. So they were worrying, if we reveal, if they say this fact, what kind of response, Maharaj will give. So when devotees told that they have taken loans for constructing the Gaudiya Math, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur was so happy that devotees were ready to risk their life for building this service. So like this, you can see so much challenges, so much struggles, so much services, challenging services acharyas give so that devotees get purified. And it is also said that whatever devotees used to collect, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur used to spend it for some other things and make them to collect again. So a lot of such challenges were given. And during Srila Prabhupada's pastimes also we can see how devotees initially took so much struggles in establishing the ISKCON. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, in relation to the Juhu story, we can see he is not remembering any shlokas. He is not able to remember Krishna. He is only memorizing all these law courts because he had to fight so much for the land with the enemies, with the asuras. So he had to memorize the Indian law codes. Memorize means so much they have to study these things to fight with these rascals. So he said, practically I'm remembering these things only. And Srila Prabhupada said, I too. So in one memory, when Srila Prabhupada came to Vrindavan, devotees picked up Srila Prabhupada from Delhi and they are all going in car. So Prabhupada is going to Vrindavan and devotees are sitting behind, and the car they are thinking, now Prabhupada will say something about Krishna. So they are all anticipating Prabhupada's first talk. So everything was silent and for some time there was no discussion. And after some time Prabhupada opened the mouth and the first word he pronounced is cement. Where is cement? So what it has to do with Vrindavan, what it has to do with Krishna consciousness. So where is money? Where is money all the time? Somebody is asking, where is cement? Where is building? Where is core? What is today's result? Project, target, pension, increment, promotion, strategies, all these words. Anxiety. So how these are all spiritual? Yes, and it is connected with Krishna, then it is spiritual. But of course, to the degree it is connected to Krishna, to that degree it is spiritual. So we're taking anxiety, but then if it is not for Krishna, but it is for self-promotion, then that is not going to purify us. So much struggles, but then he's struggling so much in the name of Krishna's service. He's trying to push himself, he's trying to promote his name, he's trying to establish himself. Then all these things is not, then so-called, then that anxiety will not purify him. That is not going to uplift him. So that is going to bind him. So we should struggle for service, but it should be for Krishna's pleasure. It should not be for the self-promotion. It is not to boost our own ego. That also we should be very careful. I'm doing so much, working hard, struggling hard, but for what? So internally he is nourishing his own ego if it is not for Krishna. So of course we will get purified, but if our attitude is not proper, then it will take longer time. Uh, so so Yashoda is so much anxious to protect Krishna from all these harming objects, and most of the times when demons attack, Yashoda fails protecting Krishna. So although Yashoda fails, the movies, the box rate is how you call the box office, something they say. The movie is successful. So the more Yashoda fails, the movie is hitting first rank. The box offices. Uh, so this is again another aspect of spiritual life. The so-called failure in your service is also success in spiritual life, whereas the success in this material world is yet other. It is even more failure. The failure in this world is failure, but the more the success in this world is more failure because you are thinking you have achieved success, but you have failed. You know, so the success in this world is more failure. So whereas in the spiritual world, the so-called failure is also success. So that is the nature. Again, shadow and reality. This is the opposing character, contradictory character. Uh, so we can see from an example of Jatayu. So in an attempt to save Sita, so he failed, but then it is not a failure; it is real success spiritually. If you see how Jatayu got real success by doing that endeavor. So this so-called success in this world, whatever it is, money, name, fame, everything is lost when death comes. Uh, so all these things are ultimately useless. So all this anxiety, which is told here, fear, anxiety, emotions. So all these things are source of great pleasure. So that is what we're trying to understand. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa is all transcendental. So how we can relish them by following the taking up the instructions of our acharyas and taking up the risks, challenges in the service which our guru, our spiritual master have given. So in that way, we can maybe start relishing these emotions too. So Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Any questions? Any comments? Any mistakes?
Nanda Maharaj Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, they were, oh, not Nanda Maharaj, but the Gopi, the mothers there, they were all experiencing great ecstasy, seeing Krishna and Balaram being dragged around by the calves, and Krishna and Balaram were also, feeling very fearful because they're getting dragged here and there. And I'm just wondering if you could tell us a bit more about yoga, how this is going on. How is it possible that Krishna forgets that he's Krishna, Balaram forgets that he's Balaram, like the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Can you elaborate on it a bit more? Do you think they're conscious of their God status while this is all going on?
So, Vrindavan is a place where God forgets his godhood. So otherwise he cannot also relish these pastimes. If all the times he remembers that he is God, then he cannot play like a child. So
what I'm trying to say is, if he is God, how is it possible for him to be covered over by something other than himself?
So by his own instruction, Yoga Maya makes him forget, maybe. So everything works under his energy. So and Yoga Maya assists Krishna to enhance the pastimes. So, so I think this could be the answer. If anybody could elaborate or
in Vrindavan, who's Yogamaya? Who's that personality?
The exact personality, sometimes it's said to be Tulsi Devi, sometimes said as Purnamasi, sometimes it's referred to many personalities to my knowledge. Somebody else can add.
Just read that the anxiety for, the bliss that the parents of Krishna, Mother Yashoda and then Nanda Maharaj and other gopis, sometimes Krishna used to, Krishna and Balram, not they just tie, they just hold the one tail of one calf's tail, when 2-3 calves, so they tie it and then they run like that. And also another anxiety that was created for the parents and other gopis were, so they used to sometimes they want to immediately go and then play with the bull. They were very, very small boys. So that was also mentioned. So that's, you can see that was increasing their emotions much more, and it was also increasing their bliss. So that was also mentioned.
Regarding this Krishna and Balaram playing and the cow dung and this holding the calf tail and all these things, nice description. So I just remember one incident when Guru Maharaj was in Karamandurai. One day he was morning, he gave a short talk to the residents there when the 2-3 Grihasthas families were there at that time. So that time the children of devotees, 2-3 kids were there. They were just on the side. They were just playing. There was some pile of sand and then some sticks, some stones, and whatever you gather around, they were collecting and they just playing with those things. Then Maharaj just in the middle of talk, he just observed for a second. Then he started to speak about this toys industry in the world, how much now in the modern children, they purchase so many toys and spend so much money, and when it breaks down and they so much cry and so much problem. You can see here just nature, these kids, just whatever they gather around and they're just using as a toy and they playing and they're happy. And so this has to be think, the people should think unnecessarily purchasing these toys so much. And some of them become so greedy. I heard one family, they say that they purchased some 120 toys. Means that he likes the cars, the toy cars. He has already 120, but still the one small boy, and still he wanted to get more. Wherever he goes, any toy, any car, he sees, he immediately purchases.
Now everything is smartphone. So if children are crying, parents have no time, give them the smartphone and they go on with their activities.
Just in relation to that, another pastime, I just remember that when Krishna and Balram, they were playing, they were making houses with the mud. They were playing, and then all the other boys were playing, and then when they were making these houses, the other gopas, they come and then give a kick on that house, and then it breaks. Again, Krishna goes and builds, and then it is mentioned that all the demigods were watching. They were just wondering, Krishna, just by his Icha Shakti, by his just, he could create all the universes are intact, but what's happening here? Everything is dismantled. So they were all surprised, amazed by this amazing, wonderful pastime that's happening.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.